I was talking about being surrounded by good counselors. These are my buddies. The dogs will talk if you'll listen to them. And while I was considering this tree, the medved stated that the fall could catastrophically come my way, so this area over here was not safe for working on. While Savakovich also agreed, he suggested that I use a slightly different method and actually plan for a catastrophic event. He said that it was his opinion that I should go ahead and operate on the assumption that the tree is going to completely go south when I try to work on it. Of course, he didn't say south because dogs have a problem with the TH sound, but I knew what he meant. The Bible says a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Proverbs also states that a wise man is surrounded by many counselors. The key deal on this is to have wise counselors. When I evaluated this tree that we're walking up to look at, my first thought was stick a rope in it, try to pull it in the direction that I'm now walking. That won't work due to the branches of a good healthy pine tree that's in front of it. My other option was to pull it opposite the direction I'm walking, and while that would work, the base of the thing is rotted, which means that cutting a hinge and dropping the tree becomes exceedingly iffy. It means that cutting a hinge and dropping the tree the other way is exceedingly iffy. And if it goes bad in the pull, what's going to happen is it's going to fall in the direction of my cabin, and I don't want that. So my other option, and I'm not worried about if this happens, is to pull it back into here, and if it hangs up in those trees, abandon the ropes, because I can replace those ropes, abandon them and just wait for it to come down by itself. Now what I've done, you see my throw ball string. There's my throw ball right there on the ground, right beside the rope. That little deal right there. And I'm getting ready to run a rope up, which has been spread out on the ground. Whenever I'm working by myself, I unloop the rope and I spread it on the ground. The reason for that is so that I can run the rope and not have it tangle and sit here and try to pull and try to undo tangles. I'm going to set this on the tripod. I'm going to show you how I sew it up with tape and knots, and then I will pull it. The first knot that I tie is a half hitch. If you notice, one string's going this way, one string's going this way. The reason for that is as they pull against each other, they tighten up. Now this is where I make loops. I'm trying to get this to where I can see the camera to make sure I'm staying in frame. What I do now is I take and I make some loops. Notice I have the loop here so that when I run the rope through, when this thing pulls, it cinches up on it. And I'll do that the rest of this length. At the top, I put a whole bunch of these, and then down the length, I just kind of every so often put one in until we get down to the bottom where I have my half hitch. To tape this up, so to make sure that the string doesn't come off, get back into frame, I put this little thing on here, and I'll tape down. I'm watching my dog. He's back there taking a bath in his water bowl. Anyhow, I tape this thing like so, and then I tape back up, keeping it tight. At the top, if you watched my other video using a snatch block to cut a tree, you remember I make kind of a little cone here at the top to help it slide through a little easier. I'm thinking about buying an Ender 3, and if I do, I'm going to actually print a little cone that will go on this rope. Alright, I have this over and tie it off. Now I come down here to the bottom of this and I just put a little bit on this, and this is just to help guarantee that for no reason whatsoever can this knot at the bottom become loose. If it does, I could lose my throw ball string in the tree and I wouldn't have a way to get it, I wouldn't have a way to rerun the rope. So on the bottom, at the top of the rope and at the bottom is my tape. Now I pull the thing up. I'm going to turn the tripod. As you can see, my rope is all laid out nice and pretty, and now it's time to pull the rope up. I am filming almost vertically, straight up. I'm up on a branch actually slightly above the one that the camera is on. It's a very small branch. The rope is feeding smoothly, but if I run into a problem, I can easily fix that. Now if you notice, I'm feeding. There it goes. It's liable to break. This is where you need to pay attention and look straight up. If you weren't paying attention and that branch had come to the ground, you would have been hurt. Now I've got a branch tangled in this rope that's going up. I've got to get it out. Alright, it's down. You can see how much debris comes down. This is nothing to ever take your eyes off. If you're going to try to film and do this stuff by yourself, you better really know what you're doing if you're going to try to hold the camera and work the rope. Alright, I'm down at the bottom now. Let me get it where you can see it. I'm down at the bottom with my rope. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the throw ball to, well, I won't have to do that. I'm just going to run the string back there, throw it across the rope, pull it to the back side, tie this rope up, and get ready to put some English on it. I'm not going to film me doing that. Everybody's smart enough to know if you walk a rope and put another rope over it, what it looks like. I don't know if you can see it, but the rope that I pulled up is trapped on a little bitty branch up there, and I'm going to have to get that off in order to get my rope tied. In order to do that, I've got to bring the rope back to my side, pop it off of that, and then take it back. I was just getting ready to cut the throw ball string off of it, but I'm going to leave that on so that I can pop the rope off and then use the throw ball string to pull it back. Then I'll be cutting the throw ball string off. I'll be tying a running bowline on that. I'll show you that. I'll be tying a running bowline, and then I'm going to cinch it up. A moment ago I alluded to the fact that a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways, but a wise man surrounds himself with wise counselors, out of the book of Proverbs. This tree, when I start to pull it, could fall in my direction, but I don't know if I have any place whatsoever that I can pull it the direction away from where I think it might fall. I'm going to explore that, make sure that I have escape routes before I start putting English on all this good stuff. This tree, as I said, is rotted at the base. It's my belief that it cannot be hinged and dropped as such. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to pull it up into the vertical position, which will tell me a lot about what's happening at the base, and then from there I'll make decisions about notching it, or whether I'm just going to cut it, make cuts on the side opposite I want it to fall, and expect it to catastrophically fail at the base as I put more and more pressure on it. My rope B, the one that's in the middle, is a 10,000 pound rope. The rope that I'm using now is rated at 3,000 pounds, but the continuous come along made by Mazdam, I'll try to remember to put a reference in there for that. The Mazdam rope puller I think is rated at a max of 1,500 pounds. So my least material condition is the Mazdam rope puller. I stand corrected, is my rated come along that's rated at 1,000 pounds, the big heavy hunker that you've seen in previous videos. My second least material condition is the Mazdam rope puller at 1,500 pounds, and then followed by this rope at the top, which is rated at 3,000 pounds. The idea is to pull tension on these things and to let the fibers stretch over a day. Put English on it in the morning, put English on it at night, and let the fibers stretch and bring that tree into a vertical, and then if I can, even further over before I actually do the back cutting, because like I said, I'm real concerned about the condition of that tree, thinking that if anything happens, it's either going to fall in my direction, which is going to be exceptionally bad, or it's going to come straight down, which is exceptionally bad. Now at the top, you can see all those dead branches. If those fall, that's exceptionally bad. They will kill. Again, if you've never done this stuff and you don't know what you're doing, don't screw with it. Hire somebody. $3,000, $5,000 is a lot cheaper than you being killed or you having some type of catastrophic injury that will plague you for the next 100 years that you live. All right, I'm going to get off my soapbox. I'm going to get the rope off of that branch up there, pull it back, and we're going to tie it up. I used a couple of knots, which I'm going to demonstrate at this point to get the rope back over the B rope, pull it back. I used one was just a simple hitch, and the other one was a sheet bend. The sheet bend is used for moving one line to another location. Usually what happens is they'll shoot a line from one ship to another. They use the sheet bend to hook a larger cable into the smaller one and then send the thing back for various types of communications. Fuel lines, telephone lines, moving passengers, that sort of thing. All right, how to tie a bowline on a bite. This is the rope that I want to pull right here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to back this off first. Yay! Flip the camera upside down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a loop around this thing, and I'm now going to tie my bowline right here. Because my rope is short, I'm not going to make a real big tail on it, maybe about 1 foot. Put this little jewel through here like so. Pull that tight. Now this piece slides freely, and I'll just put a quick overhand knot in this to keep it from coming apart. This is called a safety knot. All right, this will now slide. I will now pull the thing up. Let's see if I can let you see that. Let's kind of zoom in on what I'm doing here. A little more English. All right, let's see if I can get it to go properly for me. I'm having to move away from the camera, so I won't be able to narrate, or you may not be able to hear me very well. I think that's as good as I'm going to get. The next thing is to go get my snatch block and figure out where I'm going to pull from. Because as I say, as I start to pull this thing, I'm concerned that as the base becomes unstable, because the lean is in the direction of the camera, that it may fall off on me. I hope that came out pretty good. The popping that you heard is where I was snapping the rope to get it to jump. And I could have placed that rope a whole lot better than what I did. That's probably one of the poorest positionings I've done. But since it's for YouTube and the greater glory of mankind, we'll leave it as it is. The next step right now is to pick up the throw ball string. I'm going to cut some of this just because it's trash. I don't ever reuse it when it's been as abused as this one was. Because I've pulled it through trees and stuff and it's frayed, and as you could see, this throw ball string is not expensive, it's dirt cheap. So as soon as I get all this cleaned up, get the snatch block into place, I'm going to figure out where I'm going to be pulling from, and I'm going to set up for that pull. This is the end of part 2. Dysfunctional Vet out.